Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This one's going to be our round 16 trade targets, all the buys, holds, sells, future targets. I'll be honest, it is a little bit of a tough round. There's not a ton of options on the board, so I do have my usual tables, but I've also got a big section for flyers and pods that you may be interested in. So yeah, we'll get into that. I did post a video yesterday talking through my trade plans. That was with Katoa Matangi being out. That has changed slightly now. I'm still working towards that. But yeah, I have a full video navigating my buy period, how I'm aiming to get to my final team target, how many keepers I'll have by round 19, 20. I did end up posting that video super late last night. Came out like 9:30, 10 p.m, just had a few issues. So yeah, it didn't perform as well as usual. So if you want to check that one out, feel free. We're closing in on 400 subs. So yeah, would love to hit that soon. But yeah, we'll get cracking on the video. So as usual, I do change the tables each week. Given there's not many targets on the board, I have added the end of season targets just to keep in mind for who you are trading in this week. If they're going to be like a fringe keeper or, I don't know, like an underpriced keeper, just keep in mind who you would be looking to bring in as well for your future team. So yeah, obviously it doesn't really matter this week, but you don't want to be bringing in targets you don't intend to keep at this stage of the year. So I haven't included those. Ignore the underscores. That is just for my own benefit. Sometimes when I go through this table, I don't talk about every player because I have like all the footy statistics tabs open, but I don't actually talk about every single one. So it's just for my own reference so I don't forget them. So yeah, I'm not going to talk about most of the end of season targets, but yeah, I'll talk about them briefly, but I won't go through like their scoring and stuff. But Connor Watson and Harry Grant, they're probably the second and third best hookers by end of season. Obviously Watson has that duel. They're not buys yet because they both play Origin, so looking at round 19, 20 for them. But yeah, if you were looking to bring in a hooker this week, then you just got to keep in mind that you do want one of those as well as Aaron Clark. Obviously, I haven't got any targets on the board this week, but there's two holds, Jazz Tavanga and Riley Smith. Most of us, well, if you do have Jazz Tavanga, I don't. Chances are he is your only hooker at this stage for round 18. If you have Jazz, you probably don't have Cook and vice versa. Like me, I only have Cook, I don't have Jazz. So yeah, if that's the case, I'd absolutely hold on to Jazz. I don't know who else there is on the board unless you really, really like Damien Cook and view him as an end-of-season keeper. That would be the only reason I'd look to trade Jazz. But yeah, apart from that, just hold on to him. He did have the concussion last week, which meant he only played 31 minutes. So yeah, 31 and 31 minutes last week. It's a good PPM. His PPM does improve when he plays smaller minutes. He was looking at playing 50-plus minutes in that game. He came on after 20 minutes or so, maybe slightly more, 25 or whatever. But yeah, he played that straight, obviously, and then was going to probably play the rest of the game. Lockie Croker's been dropped to Queensland Cup, New South Wales Cup, sorry. So he probably does play a bit of backup hooker, which isn't ideal for him. But he didn't even run the ball in the mid last week and still pretty much did pump out 1 point per minute just in tackles, really, and one offload, which he does get a few of. So yeah, I'd look to hold him, sell him off after round 18. They do have the buy in round 19, but that's perfect. You can go up to a Grant or Connor Watson then. So it works out really well if you do have him. Just keep him for 17 and 18. If you have cover, yeah, I just don't know who else you'd trade him to unless it's a different hooker. So yeah, just leave him. He'll pretty much hit his break even. He'll be back. Oh, he probably won't hit his break even, but he won't lose too much money. He might lose 10, 20K, but he'll be back next week after the buy. So yeah, easy hold there. Riley Smith, I ended up selling him last week. I do think he's a hold, and I would have liked to hold him, but I ended up getting Jaden Campbell in. So yeah, I'm totally fine with that. It was a worthwhile upgrade for me. I just couldn't afford it for someone like a Tamale. So yeah, I ended up selling him. I do think he's a hold. Obviously, he doesn't play round 18, so you can probably look for after this round. What's his break even? It says 37 there, and I actually think that's pretty accurate this week in comparison to this site, which is usually the best or most accurate. It doesn't want to work for me though. Riley Smith. Yeah, so he's got a 37 break even, so he should easily hit that. Joash Papali is not on the bench this week, so he probably does play 80. We knew with Joash coming onto that bench that they had talked about him being the backup hooker role. So yeah, Riley Smith only played 66 minutes in both of the last two games. Still pumped out a 54 and 47. Like his tackle count, we can pretty much assume it's going to be in the mid 40s to low 50s now. I talked about it ages ago that I thought it would increase from that 36, 38 mark, and I didn't expect this much, but yeah, it looks real now. His missed tackles have gone down as well, so he should easily be able to pump out a 37. If there is a clear upgrade on the board, like a Jerome Hughes that you want to pick up, feel free to do that, absolutely. I don't think Riley Smith has that much money to make, but I think he is a big chance of playing 80 minutes this week. And even with 50s, he's still got another 40k or so. You probably wouldn't leave him for round 18. Like, you probably need to make the upgrade by then. So if you do need to trade him this week, that is totally fine. Like I said, I did it last week, but in an ideal world, you would keep him. There isn't many mids on the board, mid-ranges, not mids. There's not many mid-ranges left that we all have. So we are going to be making some uncomfortable trades. Like in the past, like throughout the buy period, it has been pretty easy to navigate the trades the way you want to. Like when cashies had peaked or mid-ranges had peaked and you could easily offload them. At this stage, there's not many. Like I've got Savala is pretty much my only one. Like obviously Tamale I want to get out, but like that is a comfortable trade because he's not going to be around for 12 weeks. Savala is really my only mid-ranger I can trade. And I don't want to yet, but it might have to be him or like a Nico Hines or someone who doesn't provide value in round 18 maybe, like a Riley Smith, even though they haven't peaked. It might be the time to offload them just because we have to. Like we have to make some sacrifices this round. There are options on the board around that price point which have the potential to be keepers. So yeah, if you're in that situation, I think Riley Smith is probably the best one you can trade. But in an ideal world, he would be a hold. So I've left him as a hold, but very contextual. If you can make an upgrade to a Jerome Hughes or someone, then I absolutely would. And that's about it for hookers. It's been a bit of a slower position in the last couple of weeks. We knew Jazz has been around for a while. Damien Cook came into contention a couple of weeks ago, but they're really the only options that have popped up. We know we want these two guys. It's just a matter of waiting for round 19, round 20 to get them. And they'll be great options. They are a little bit cheaper, which is good as well. So that will really help fund our end of season team. But you can't be rolling around with one hooker. So we do need one of these guys. Jazz Tavanga, Riley Smith, Damien Cook probably aren't going to make it to end of season unless they have a significant boost in their output. So yeah, easy upgrade to those guys soon, but I wouldn't do it this week. And that's about it for hookers. We'll get on to mids now. Isaiah Yeo is really the only end of season target that most people don't have. Obviously, most people have Haas, Katoa, Matangi, Tarpanay, stuff like that, Couchmans, who are all end-of-season targets, but yeah, I didn't include them because most of us have them. But yeah, Isaiah Yeo is certainly one we probably do want. Talked about it in yesterday's video. There's a chance I might not end up actually getting him, given there are so many decent options, but I think at his price point, he is going to be worth it. Like he might be a pretty, not a straight swap, but maybe 100k or so to go up from like a Tallis Duncan to Yeo. So yeah, you are going to need to get some of those premium players at a little bit of a discount, which Yeo looks like he will be. So yeah, I'll still be targeting him in one way or another. Just we'll see how it pans out. But the only buy this week really is Tallis Duncan. I've been on the Tallis Duncan train for about a month now. I think I've had him for 4 weeks, and yeah, 5 weeks actually. And it's been a bumpy ride. He's starting to finally produce some monster scores with a 58 and 72 back-to-back. He's not a notable try scorer. He scores about 1 in every 8 or so, maybe even slightly less than that. Last week he scored a nice one, which is good. But yeah, he's not a notable try scorer, so you can take that out of his score. It was a 12-point try or 13-point try with the run meters, so he got a 59 without that. So 58 and 59 in back-to-back is really good when he's priced at 38, obviously. It is getting late in the season where it's tough to pick up mid-ranges, which he absolutely is. But when I bought him in and when I talked about him, it was because he was going to average about 45 to 47-ish in the second row. That's what his historical data had done. There were plenty of reasons why he didn't score well in the 24, 36, 41 this year. And then, yeah, we've seen him increase his output recently and reduce the negatives. So I think he is a really good option because he covers in round 18, has that has that mid-edge duel. So yeah, he's a valuable option. He should make plenty of money. I'll project him around like the 47 mark. And then let's see what he gets. Like he makes 100k or so, which isn't quite enough for a mid-ranger. But given round 18 is quite a difficult round to navigate, we assumed Katoa Matangi will be back, but there's every chance he's not. Most of us have sold Hosking by now. I haven't, but most of you guys have. So yeah, I think he does provide value as a starter in round 18. So I think he is worthwhile still. He does have a little bit more upside than 47, as we've seen lately. He does have a low score in him, absolutely. So even if he gets like one of those low scores, you guys are in a bit of trouble if you picked him up this week. So let's just say he gets like a 30, then straight 50s. It does mean he's only going to make 75k or so. So there always is that risk. But I think he's really the only non-keeper on the board at this stage for round 18 that does provide a ton of value. So I do see the merit in it. I did put him as a buy, but it is, again, it's very contextual. If you don't need a player for round 18 in the mid or edge position, absolutely no reason to bring him in. You're not missing too much. So yeah, if you do need one, pick him up. But if not, just wait until round 19 and pick up one of those guns that maybe you don't have. Lockie Hubner, where have I got him? As a hold. Yep. So I've talked about him being a sell. Oh, I think I have talked about him being a hold, actually, unless he had an upgrade on the board. But it was very close each week. His minutes are lower, absolutely. At the start of the season, those minutes were higher due to Rabbitoh's injuries mid-game. So I talked quite heavily about them not continuing. Obviously, the 19 he got injured in. But yeah, those minutes have been rocking around the 35, 40 minutes for a while. If that's the case, absolutely a sell. And he is still a sell in plenty of scenarios this week as well. It's just with Koloamatangi out of the team, the minutes need to be picked up somewhere. Where am I going? Yeah, like someone needs to pick up those minutes. He's still starting lock, which he has been for his 35-minute performances. But yeah, that bench is a lot weaker. Koloamatangi is a chance of playing this week. Apparently he got through training today, which is a good sign. But it was said it's unlikely he plays this week. So you can obviously wait. They play in the same game since they're on the same team. So, yeah, if Koloamatangi's in the team, then I think Hubner's absolutely a sell. But if he does miss out, I think his minutes this week will be about 45 to 50. And if that's the case, I don't know whether it's worth going up to a Talis Duncan this week. Yeah, if Koloamatangi's in the team, absolutely get rid of him. If not, you can probably wait another week and maybe stretch out to round 18. But I'd probably look for a mid-round upgrade in round 18, even though he does play. So, yeah, hold this week if Koloamatangi's out. But again, very contextual. If you have the money to go up to a Jerome Hughes or someone else you're targeting, then by all means do that. Hamish Stewart, yeah, he's a sell in my eyes. 22 minutes off the bench last week. I never loved him as an option. His short-term... So when people were looking to pick him up, it was around 10, 11-ish, maybe 12. I can't really remember. But yeah, I knew his short-term output would be good because they had a few injuries. Emre Gula wasn't on the bench. Couchman was playing at edge because they had Jaden Sewer out and stuff like that. I can't remember the exact scenario. But yeah, his short-term output was good. His points per minutes are good. But Emre Gula became the 18th man. Couchman was going to come back into that middle soon. So I thought he's not going to make 150k, which you need from your mid-ranges. And then long-term, well, not even long-term, mid-term, like in 2 to 3 weeks, those minutes are likely to decrease. We saw that happen. I didn't expect 22 minutes, obviously. That was ridiculous. He didn't come on for the first 55 minutes or so, which, yeah, absolutely absurd given they were getting run through the middle. But it's very concerning. They have the bye this week. He does play round 18, but I think you can use his money in different assets this week. Like I mentioned, there's not many mid-ranges on the board that we all still have. And I think he's a pretty clear upgrade. His break-even's higher, so he doesn't have that money to make. My cat is here. Well done, Mr. Willow. I think he's a pretty clear sell, especially on the buy this week. Maybe you can use him as a loop option, but if not, then yeah, sell him for sure. Hey, buddy. The guys I haven't talked about in the mids, Payne Haas and Tarpanay, yeah, pretty clear holds. There's a chance I do sell Payne Haas. I've been talking about it for the last 2-3 weeks. I'm not just saying that to make you guys sell them. Like I'm pretty transparent with my trades and stuff like that. It just didn't work out. If Savala didn't score well last week, Payne Haas was gone. He still might be, depending on how Hosking scores this week, because I'm using him as a loop option, and then I can move someone like Talis Duncan down. So yeah, there's every chance I do sell Haas this week. But if you've left it this long, in most scenarios, he is a keep. You want him this week, especially with Koloamatangi likely out of the team. He does obviously miss round 18. Maybe round 19 is backing up or not playing. Round 20, they have the bye. So he does still miss a couple of games. I think he's more of a sell than Koloamatangi at this point. But yeah, I'd still say it's worth holding, especially with mids a little bit shorter this week with no Couchman, Koloamatangi, players like that. So I'd hold him if you can. But like I said, there's going to be some uncomfortable trades for a lot of us this week, and Haas might be one of them for me. Tapane, yeah, especially with Koloamatangi out. Especially with Koloamatangi out this week, it provides the other gun mids more value. So I think Tapane is a pretty clear hold. His minutes have been lower, but like the Raiders hadn't had a bye for so long. He played every game since round 14. He might be a little bit tired, and coming off the bye, he might be more energized. And I assume Ricky was just lowering his minutes before that. So then when he gets the break, he's more refreshed. So yeah, pretty confident his minutes are better over the next coming weeks. And yeah, you want him at an end of season team. I'd sell Haas before I sold him. He plays around 18, pretty clear hold for me. And then Yo, we already talked about as well. So that's about it for mids. The only one I'd potentially look to pick up is Tallis Duncan, apart from the flyers I've got down below. But yeah, that's about it. Moving on to edge. Won't talk about Koloamatangi. I've had 2 videos on him now. That was prior to the news. If you haven't seen it, yeah, he's named at 19th man this week. He was meant to be out for 3 to 5 weeks, but that looks long gone now. I don't know if he's been cleared of the facial fracture, or the eye socket fracture, but yeah, he's, by all accounts, is due back next week. Potentially round 18 is due back, but yeah, he's almost guaranteed to play in round 18 apparently. He's a chance this week, just made it through training, NRL physio said just before I started filming this one. So yeah, at this current stage, he's absolutely a hold. If you want to take a flyer and sell him, there's, I think Casual Baller was it? Or no, the real deal was talking in my comments saying they are potentially selling him because they have more trades in the bank. So yeah, I think that could be worth it as a flyer. I'm considering it myself, but I think I'll go Haas as a sell now. But I'm still working through my own trades. We've got till Friday, which is good. But yeah, at this stage, I'd be holding on to Koloamatangi in almost every scenario. Olakwatu, pretty clear sell, given he's out for 3 months or so. And yeah, not much point talking about him. And then the end of season targets. Hudson Young is probably the best one on the board, but he's very expensive and he doesn't have that historical data to show that he's got an average 60 plus. So he is a target as the best edge, but I don't know if he'll ever end up in my team. Jacob Preston, yeah, I think he's almost a must-have. He's one of the only end of season targets that plays in round 18, so I'd be looking to pick him up before then, unless you have immense cover. But yeah, he should average 60 or so. And then David Fafita and Angus Crichton, they're not performing at end of season keeper level at the moment. Crichton has historical data where he averages about 58, 59 on the edge. The only stats that are down this year are his tries, his attacking stats, sorry. I think he's losing 1 tackle break, maybe half an offload to 1 offload lower. But it's just his tries. He's not getting many line breaks. So yeah, if he gets back to that, he could absolutely be an end of season keeper. He's one to pick up after round 19. I believe they have the bye in round 19, but he obviously is playing Origin. So round 20 onwards, he could be an option. He's almost 600k and should produce at a similar level to Hudson Young and Preston, maybe a step below, but yeah, we're going to have to buy some underpriced guys, and I think he is one that no one's really talking about. David Fafita in a similar boat. He's back this week. He's on the extended bench. Des Hasler doesn't like him by everything we've seen in the media and just the way he's used him, like dropping him and stuff. Like when he wanted to move to Fermore's edge, he just dropped him to Queensland Cup. So yeah, pretty clear at this stage he's not going to be an option, but we know what he can be when he is starting, when he plays 70 plus minutes on the edge. So he's one to consider down the track. But yeah, these guys, apart from Preston, none of them are going to be pickups until around 19, 20. But they are something to consider because a lot of people are looking to pick up Eli Katoa this week. And there's better options on the board in my eyes. I do have him as a buy. The Storm are out of buys now, so he's got a clear runway. He averages 54 for the year, priced at 52. So pretty much priced where he should be. People are picking him up with the expectation that he will be a keeper. Absolutely, he is a keeper, but by every definition of the word. But I just don't know if he's that necessary. He obviously plays round 18, so if you need an edge in round 18, then for sure. But you've got Hudson Young, Preston, KPP maybe slightly above him, but doesn't play round 18. Then you've got Koloamatangi, Toby Couchman, Aitken. They're like 6 or 7 that are probably slightly above him. I do have Aitken above Katoa. So and I guess Fermore is close, but obviously you want him at centre and same as Dylan Lucas. But yeah, there's so many edges available, is there really a need for Katoa? If you do not have an edge in round 18, then yeah, absolutely pick him up for sure. Like I said, there's not many end of season guys that are playing round 18, so he'll be immensely valuable there. But if that's not the case, I think you're not missing too much by not having him. He's really good and is a keeper for sure. But he averaged 52 last year, 46. Obviously, he's a better player now. But this is pretty much his ceiling. Maybe he's got 1-2 points, like he could average 55, 56. But obviously, they don't have any buys coming up at all the rest of the season. So there is reasons why he's more valuable than he presents. But for me, I'm not looking at him. I don't need him. I've got an echelon of edges, and yeah, he's not in the top 5 for me come into season. So at this stage, I don't have any reason to bring him in, but he is a great option for sure in many circumstances. Zach Hosking is a keep at this stage. Again, I might be looking to trade him in round 18, depending on who I have available. I'm keeping him this round as a loop option, but he would potentially have been one of those guys that would have been an uncomfortable sell this week. He hasn't been what we thought he'd be. Obviously, he got up to like 90% owned. Now he's down to 37 to 52%. So yeah, pretty clear why people are selling him. He's played 3 games over 70 minutes. I think he played like 68 in one of them. Yeah, 68 and 68. So he's scored 52, 37, 42 and 47 since we all picked him up. And 2 of those were with tries. So it is disappointing. He's not going to be playing 80 most weeks. I can't remember their bench this week, but yeah, Simi Sasangi's on the bench. And Smithies comes on. So their rotation is a bit weird. He usually will play about that 68 to 70 minute mark. But his historical data in that role is actually really good. I'll change to the second row. But yeah, he scored a try in both those games, obviously, but his base is good and scored a 69 and 93, which is just ridiculous. Averaged 54 the year before in that same role in 73 minutes. So take off 3 minutes, maybe 2 off his score, and that's 52. Then 61 in 3 games. So long term, he averages 56 in 74 minutes in the second row. We haven't seen it in the last month, but he's priced at 43. He's not massively priced where you can upgrade him comfortably. And I think he is still valuable as an underpriced keeper level guy for the short term in round 18 and stuff like that. He's not an end of season keeper by any stretch of the imagination with Nicholson coming back. But he is valuable in round 18 potentially. I potentially don't need him in round 18, so I would look to offload him then. But if you need him, keep him for sure. Katoa, a lot of people sold him in the last couple of weeks. I do still have him as a sell. I think he is better than the last 2 scores. Obviously, 8 missed tackles is double his next worst. And he's been great before that. Obviously, pumped out 3 straight, 55, 56, 58s. So yeah, I think he still does score around that 45-ish mark with potential upside from there. But he does have the lower scores in him. Like I mentioned 1,000 times in this video, all our mid-rangers have peaked and we sold them all prior to this round, and he's one of the only ones left that a lot of people have. So I think it's a pretty clear upgrade. If you can get an underpriced keeper this round, you can upgrade to one of those end-of-season guys like a Katoa. Sorry. Yeah, I just think he's a sell. He doesn't play round 18, obviously, and we're trying to get rid of as many of those guys as possible. If he averages 45 from here on out, it will take him a month. It'll be about a month of stability, like price stability, and doesn't play around 18. So what are you really gaining? Even if he pumps out 55s every week, he's still only making 60K or so, and that's realistically not going to happen. So yeah, pretty comfortable sell in my eyes if you haven't already. He is still quite owned, which is surprising. He will be valuable in centre this week. I think I've only got 2 this week, so Bo Fermor and Dylan Lucas. With Garrick on it by. So yeah, I think he could provide value this week, but if you don't need him, if you're not going to be playing him, absolutely sell for sure. That's about it for Edge. I've talked about all the other guys. So yeah, as you can see, there's only really been 2 buys this week, which is pretty crazy so far. There is a couple more in the back line, which is good, but yeah, like there's not a ton of really standout options this week. And honestly, there's not a ton before round 18. So it is a bit of a tricky period to navigate. We are still looking to boost our numbers for round 18 and 19, but there's not too many options on the board. Moving on to halves, the guys I won't talk about, Savala and King Tongia. most of us have at least one of those. Savala, obviously, the more heavily owned. I think they are super valuable for round 18 still. You probably don't want to rely on King Tongia's score, but if you only have two halves, I'd look to keep him and then potentially look to offload him mid-round or upgrade your halves depending on how he scores in round 18. I'll check off. I can't remember off the top of my head where the Dragons play, what number they play. Hopefully it's early in the round. Yeah, they play second, so you can keep King Tongia for round 18. Look to upgrade to, I don't know, maybe like a Cherry Evans, Jerome Hughes, if you haven't already got him in round 18, during the middle of the round. So you can see what King Tongia scores there. He might end up pumping out a 46 again, and then it's worthwhile keeping him. I think at this stage, unless you can make a clear upgrade, he is a little bit lower priced at like 350k. So unless you can make a massive upgrade, I would be keeping him. Savala still has money to make, and he's pumping out keeper level scores at the moment. Again, I might have to trade him very soon, but I'd like to keep him for round 18 ideally. And I think in most scenarios, they are keeps. Munster and Burton, they're sells. Burton, he does play round 18, but there's every chance he's 18th man for Origin again, which looks likely at this stage, unless maybe Campbell Graham's 18th man. But yeah, I don't know if you can take that risk. When you've got someone like Jerome Hughes on the board this week, I think it's a pretty safe upgrade to make. Hughes is cheaper as well, so you're gaining money by doing that. Yeah, I just don't know if it's worth keeping Burton on a bye this week. Probably not playing him in round 17. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. But yeah, probably not playing him and then hoping he's available in round 18. It doesn't seem worth it to me. He's a nice price to upgrade or downgrade to Jerome Hughes. He also, we don't know where he's going to be playing. There's rumours of him moving to centre with Galvin back in the team. We don't know what's going to happen there, but again, it's another factor. So I don't think it's worth holding on to him. Cameron Munster, yeah, very similar. He is backing up this week, like pending how tonight goes, obviously. But yeah, I just think if you can use his money to go to a Jerome Hughes, then by all means do it. He is a lot less owned, but I thought I'd mention him anyway. Then end of season targets. Most of you guys have Cleary. Not many of you have Katoa. I think he's about 40% owned. But they're really the two clear top two halves at the end of the season. Cleary on his own pedigree there. Katoa is just pumping out 60 for fun at the moment. So I think he's established himself as a clear number two. Whether you get him or not is another question. Like if you have a Hines, Cherry Evans, Fogarty, someone like that, maybe you just end up keeping them and not using the money to upgrade to a Katoa, because it is a bit of a luxury one that a lot of people won't be able to make if you don't already have him. So yeah, that's always the case, but you definitely want Cleary back if you've sold him. So just keep that in mind when you're making moves for halves this week as well. Like if you were looking at Cherry Evans for round 18, Jamal Fogarty for round 18, yeah, you just know you're probably going to be sacrificing a Katoa. But yeah, Jerome Hughes, pretty much the only one on the board. I've mentioned his name 1,000 times in this video alone. I've talked about him every week since about round 9, I think. I was close to picking him up last round. 535k is ridiculous. He pumped out an 86. I just couldn't make it work. But yeah, he looked really good. The kick meters have been up and down. I was a Munster owner for the whole season, and yeah, it was great in those two rounds where Munster dominated the kicking. In round 13, he got it back. I think round 13 was back up from Origin, so Munster took a bit of a back seat, and then Hughes had 373 metres, so he dominated the kicking there. But then round 14, when no one was backing up, he still dominated the kicking. He looked really good, really healthy. He has had a few niggles throughout the year. He's played, 1, 2, 3, 4 games where he hasn't made it through. I think 2 or 3 of them he was just rested at the end of the game. But that's not a good sign for a halfback to be rested. Usually it's someone like a Pappenhausen who has an injury history that gets rested. So it was slightly concerning, and it did put me off buying Hughes. But yeah, he looked really good in that game. He's coming off the bye now. Munster's backing up from Origin. I think he'll have a dominant game in kicking. And yeah, his run game looked really strong. He was really aggressive in that game, looking for the ball, taking heaps of darts. Maybe he was hunting for his hat-trick, who knows. But yeah, the score was amazing, but he looked better as a player. We know what he did last year. He averaged 60, which is crazy. I don't think he gets quite back there, but we don't need him to. Even if he gets back to 52, 53, that's end-of-season keeper level. Katoa's probably going to average 57 to 60 or so you are losing a couple of points there. But Jerome Hughes has the data to support that he could absolutely get back there. Probably unlikely, but 55 is super realistic. I think there's like a 50% chance he gets back to a 55 point scorer. Maybe like a 10% chance he gets back to 60. But yeah, there's plenty of upside at his priced at 43. I think it's now or never. It's not now or never. Like there's a chance I do it next week, but his break even is low. If you want to see another week of him or you can't bring him in this week, that's fine. But yeah, I think you want him over the next 1 or 2 weeks at worst. Round 18 is hard to get halves. You got Jamal Fogarty, and then he's pretty much the only keeper, plus Cherry Evans, but I don't know how many people actually want to do that. And then it goes down to Savala, King Tongas, Humphreys, Galvin, stuff like that. So yeah, he's pretty clearly, I think, the number 1 or number 2 half in round 18. So yeah, it adds even more value to him. Obviously, just like Katoa, Eli Katoa, he doesn't have any buys left. So I'd absolutely be picking him up. He's my number 1 option on the board this week. I assume he'll be picked up by 10+% of people. Nico Hines, I've got him as a hold. I don't know. I might be selling him. It's very tough. I've talked about it for about a month or so. Even when he was pumping out 50s like it was no tomorrow, I was very concerned. His kick meters have dwindled heaps. Braden Trindle is dominating kicking meters, and that's got even worse the last couple of weeks. I'm actually surprised he kicked for 200 last week. I didn't even notice that. But yeah, he's not really in the attacking stuff too much. He's taking a lot of his darts on 4th tackle, and they're absolutely nothing. There's like 5-10 meters without a tackle break, and then it means he can't kick as well. If your halfback's taking your runs, he probably took 5 runs on 4th tackle last week. It means he's not looking to kick. Yeah, he kicked for 200 meters, but that's his best in like a month. He does take goal kicking. We know he can be better. I don't know. Like it's such a hard one. His historical data is so good, like 61, 74, 69, 48. He's not going to get back there, obviously, but it's so hard to sell him at 46 when we know he can be better. He's only really had 1 score below that for like 2 months. So I think he's a hold. I don't know if that's me trying to convince myself. Like I know he's not in the attack as much. Everything I see about him, watching him, I don't like as a fantasy prospect. But we know what his upside can be. If Trindle gets injured or something, then he automatically becomes close to a 60-point scorer. So yeah, I'm banking on the upside. I don't want to sell him. I think it's too low. If he gets down to 550K, it's just like Hughes and everyone will pick him up. So yeah, I think I'm going to keep him, but it might be one of those uncomfortable ones where I have to trade him. He doesn't play around 18, so in my eyes, he is a hold because there's so many factors that should point to him averaging more than 46. And I do want to keep him for end of season as well, but it might get to the point where that's not possible. He has a high break even, so I'll leave that up to you guys. I put him as a hold, but yeah, it's an uncomfortable one either way, I think. That's about it for halves. Yeah, Hughes the standout option. A couple of guys I'd sell to get him, and a couple of guys I'd keep who, if they're playing in round 18, I'd say just keep them at this stage. In centres, yeah, I've got no trade targets in this one. Herbie Farnworth and Kirez, we obviously all want by end of season. Herbie, most of you guys have, and I'm super jealous, especially with him pumping out a 99. I think I said in last week's video, in the trade targets video, he's due for 100, and he scored a 99, so fucking classic. Really ruined my week because Scotty Drinkwater scored a 13 in the same game, who I do own. So yeah, brutal swing. I think he's too expensive to pick up now. We do want him, like if you don't have him, but he doesn't play round 18. They have a bye in round 21, which is easy to navigate, but you know he's missing 2 rounds in the coming weeks. He's good. He's really fucking good in real life and in fantasy. He's a center who doesn't make any negative plays for fantasy. So yeah, you all want him if you don't have him already, but I think he's too expensive to justify bringing in this week. If you have excess money or big team value, then sure, but he's really the only one I'd be targeting this round if you are desperate for him. KL Iro, yeah, obviously he's out long term and same as Tamale, so pretty comfortable sells there. Kiraz is on the bye. He is by far and away the best centre to own in round 18. So I think he's really important to have by then. But yeah, the bye this week, he's a potential origin player if Brian To'o is injured, like if he doesn't make it through this game well, or if Lomax gets injured, or any possibility. Like he there's a chance of playing Origin, so I wouldn't pick him up in round 17. I think his break-even's about 55 or so anyway, so yeah, he's one I'd pick up in round 18, but you pretty much want him by then. He has that duel as well, absolute end-of-season guy. Yeah, that leaves Ruben Garrick is really the only one to talk about. I think as a hold, he does play round 18. He's having a down year. Well, not a down year, a down patch really. But he's still averaging 49 for the year, priced at 43, plays round 18. Yeah, I'd say keep him for now, even on the bye. You can use him as a loop option like I will be this week. And then maybe look to offload him round 19. He probably doesn't make too much money, but yeah, there's not many centres on the board for round 18. I think it's him, Kirez, and then like Stafford Toa as the third best. So yeah, just keep him. I don't think many of you guys are looking to sell him, but he is highly owned, so I thought I'd discuss him anyway. And I sort of needed to talk about someone in the centres, but yeah, very easy hold. And then winger fullback. Got a few targets here, which is good. So I will talk about all of them. Fletcher Sharp is a hold. He's named this week. Barry Tui said he was likely to play all of last week, for this round. Like during the round last week, when it was confirmed that it was out, they said it's likely that he will play this week. So yeah, he was a pretty comfortable hold in most scenarios. I know a few of you guys did sell him for various reasons, and that's fine. Does he average 58 for the rest of the year? I don't know, but he's named this week, so you may as well just keep him now. End of season targets, Latrell, he's very cheap at the moment. He's averaging like 50 or something, but he averaged 62 or something last year. So yeah, he's going to be one of those guys that we may look to pick up as a cheaper end of season guy. And Kalen Ponga, we don't know, like he's not performing at that level yet, but again, he's underpriced. So maybe they're the only real guys I'd be considering for winger fullback. Obviously, Jaden Campbell, Kiraz, who are dual there as well. But yeah, I think Jaden Campbell you can pretty comfortably pick up this week. He doesn't play round 18, so if you are desperate for cover, maybe make some other moves. If you're going to do it, it's probably going to be last week. But yeah, his data at halfback is so strong this year and last year. He's averaging 59, priced at 54, so you're getting a really nice discount there. Last year, he played 5'8" last year, didn't he? Yeah, he averaged 58 at 5'8" last year, so yeah, we are pretty comfortable in where you can average. He's going to have lower games like we saw with the 36, but he's involved in everything in that attack. He can score in so many different ways. Round 18 is their last bye. And yeah, it is a major bye round 2 miss, but if you don't pick him up, you're losing round 16, 17, 19, and then the rest of the year. So I think there's no problems picking him up. Same as Hervey, you can pick him up, but Campbell, you're getting at a discount, whereas Hervey, you're paying overs for him essentially. So yeah, I think that makes him more of a pickup for sure. Fletcher Sharp, if he misses this week as well, then you do want an extra cover. Teddy, yeah, obviously has a bye next week. Oh, so they don't have a bye in 19, I think I said. For someone they do. But yeah, he has a bye in round 17, sorry. So maybe you don't look to pick him up this week. But we are a little bit thin on winger fullbacks this week. I think he is still a decent buy. Personally, I probably wouldn't pick him up this week if you don't already have him, but by all means, he's end of season guy. He's about the 5th best winger fullback. Yeah, if you need one, he's priced where he should be. So yeah, if you view him as an end of season guy, then no issues picking him up this week. Don't really need to talk about him. He's great for round 18. Reece Walsh. I don't know how many people are going to pick him up. We've obviously seen Jerome Hughes' name everywhere. I haven't seen Reece Walsh talked about as much. In my eyes, I do want him. I think tier 1 is Jerome Hughes, tier 2 is Reece Walsh of who I want. I'm picking him up in the view he's going to be a potential end of season guy, but at worst, he's probably going to average low 40s and is priced at 35. So there's no real downside. Plays round 18. The only bye he has is round 20 to come. So yeah, he looked healthier last week. Not last week, the week before in round 14. He did pick up a little bit of a niggle with like 10 to go or 5 to go even. And then 2 minutes later, he pushed off the trainer. 2 minutes later, he scored a try. So the bye would have helped him as well. I don't think they would have rushed him back in round 14, knowing he had a bye in round 15 if he wasn't 90% healthy. So otherwise, you just give another week off. I think he was due back in round 13 and they gave him another week. But yeah, coming back before a bye is a good sign in my eyes. Is it a chance he plays Origin in game 3? Maybe. But it's not like you're breaking the bank to get him in. He's 473k. It's not like running the risk on Matt Burton, who's 620k or something. Like, he's pretty much priced at a mid-range. He has so much upside. Maybe it's like a 30% chance he plays Origin. I think Ponga would have to have a shocker. Obviously, Ponga's having the worst season of his life, and he played terribly in game 1, and he still made the team in round 2 when they had heaps of shake-ups. So, yeah, I think it's unlikely he plays in game 3. He obviously has that -1, but his scores actually aren't terrible apart from that. Like a 26, 31, 33, 36. They're about where he's priced at, but they're not like crazy bad. The 26 was when he got injured after 2 minutes and still played on. So, yeah, we know what he can be. He doesn't goal kick anymore unless Adam Reynolds is out or something, but he's not. He averaged 50 last year, -2.6, so he averaged 47.5, 48 the year before, 37 in a down year, obviously, and then 49 the year before. So, yeah, he is capable of bad scores. He's a winger fullback. They all are. I think this is the lowest price we really see him at, and it's one I'm happy to make a move on. If he doesn't turn out to be an end-of-season keeper, I have 12 trades, so I can easily upgrade him. But I think there's every chance he does become a high 40s, low 50s guy. So, yeah, happy to take a flyer on him. Scotty Drinkwater, pretty clear hold. 44, priced at 44 is getting ridiculous, and he's going to lose a ton more money this week unless he pumps out a big score. Yeah, at 18 and a 13 in the last 4 weeks is shocking. I think I picked him up just before his 44, so I paid 705k for him. He's now worth 595 and probably gets down to 550. It's disappointing on that end, but I still view him as a 55-point guy. I won't go into fuck it, I will. I do this all the time, but yeah, like he averaged 49 last year. 49 last year without goal kicking. He does goal kick now. His kick meter should be higher with Purdue at halfback when Clifford's out of the team and Dearden comes back. Dearden's not a strong kicker, so yeah, he should pick up extra kick meters there. With goal kicking alone, he should be a 55-point guy based on last year's stats. He does have the lowest score on him. The Cowboys are a worse team this year, so maybe it's low 50s, but certainly better than 44. Certainly better than what he's been scoring this week. The last month or so. But yeah, like I wouldn't be rushing to pick him up this week, but I would be picking him up in round 18, even if he does have a higher break even if he scores a 10 this week. So yeah, I think he's a pretty clear hold, and lucky you guys for picking him up so cheap. Iongi, a pretty clear sell. Yeah, just like Katoa, doesn't play round 18. If you want to loop him this week, I think you can. Where do the Eels play? Can't see him. Eels play late, so you can loop someone like a Fletcher Sharp early, or whatever winger fullback you want. And then if they score badly, you might want to keep Iongi this week, which is fine. But if all your winger fullbacks score well, are you ever going to be playing Iongi again? If it's not this round, you're certainly not playing him in round 17 with all your guys back. Round 18, he doesn't play. Round 19, we should have heaps of winger fullbacks. He's got a high break even. He does have low scores in him. Moses is out of the team, so his production is better with Moses in the team. So, yeah, pretty clear sell in my eyes. Maybe use him as a loop this week, but that's about it. And yeah, where am I going? Yeah, and that's about it for trade targets. I can't believe I turned that into like 40 plus minutes because there's not many on the board. But yeah, I'll have timestamps and stuff like that. But yeah, then it gets on to like the fun section, I guess. Flyers pods. So I got a couple of these guys, actually a ton of these guys, using the same table as last week where situational buys, situational avoids. Jaden Brayley, if you need a hooker for round 16 and 17, I think it's a decent option. Maybe you only have Jazz this week and you want to play Aaron Clark in the middle. Yeah, he's starting this week, so Phoenix Crossland at lock again, same as last week. The Knights have a ton of injuries in that middle, like in their pack. So I don't think Brayley continues to start over the next, like past round 16, round 17. And if you expect Crossland to move back to hooker and when those forwards return and then Brayley back to the bench, then I probably wouldn't pick him up. But yeah, if you are desperate for a hooker this round, I think there is some merit. We know what he can be playing like a bigger minute role, even just like, let's say 50 plus minutes, or actually I'll go 60 plus. Yeah, scored a 51 in 72 minutes last week, 43 last year, 51, 50. So yeah, like there is merit. Obviously he's priced so lowly, but I think it's only 1 to 2 weeks where he does start at hooker and then probably goes back to like a 30, 40-minute bench role. He is off after this year, so they have no reason to play him. They're just doing it because Crossland has to cover in the middle at the moment, playing lock. So personally, I would look to avoid him. But if you only have Jazz this week and Aaron Clark's playing mid, that's probably the only scenario where he is probably worth it. Kurt Donahue, yeah, he was a decent option last week, but that was because they played round 15. His role hasn't changed, which is obvious. Like that was obviously going to happen. But are you picking him up in round 16 when they have a bye in round 18? Probably not. If you don't need any round 18 cover, like your team's all sweet, maybe you've got 1 or 2 loop options already, then yeah, it makes him more valuable. If you're chasing cash generation, certainly, and if you have a high trade count, then yeah, I think there is some merit to him. I think he will score pretty well. His role is pretty secure now. They've got like 4 guys out for the season in Gilbert, Plath, Saifidi, and someone else. Can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, he's going to play a big minute lock role. Last week, it was a massive blowout. He did pick up a slight niggle, I think. I don't know exactly what it was, but yeah, he came off just after picking up a tweak to something. So he was probably looking at like 70 plus minutes, potentially 80, I'm not sure. He did score a point a minute, but that was with a try. But take away the try and increase his minutes, and he probably was going to score around the mid-50s anyway without the try. So yeah, he's priced at 38, got a low break even. We don't have much historical data, which is tough. Like obviously he played hooker, which isn't as ideal as playing locks. And then off the interchange bench where he probably played half or something in that round. I don't know off the top of my head, obviously. But yeah, I think there's every possibility he averages high 40s for quite a while, but he's not going to be an end of season guy. He maybe make 150K. I couldn't tell you that off the top of my head. If you think he will and you have higher trades, then yeah, feel free to take a flyer. But in most scenarios, he's not really going to be a trade-in if you didn't do it last week. Samuela Fainu. So yeah, I talked about this guy like 3 weeks ago that he wasn't a pickup yet, but at some stage he might be. And if you're considering Tallis Duncan, you may as well consider him. He's a cheaper alternative at about 150K cheaper. If you are desperate for round 18 and round 19 cover, which is probably why you're picking up Tallis Duncan in the first place, then yeah, it makes him an option. And if the extra money, instead of getting Tallis Duncan, actually he's 100K cheaper, not 150K. I was thinking Tallis Duncan was 550, but no, about 100K. But if that extra money does allow for bigger upgrades elsewhere, if you are a bit short of cash, then certainly, like he is a decent option. If you don't need any cash generation or you're low on trades, then certainly not. And if you don't need around 18 mid or edge cover, then yeah, definitely don't even consider this guy. But yeah, he has to be talked about with Tallis Duncan being talked about. He's obviously had a couple of games playing less than 80 minutes this year, but he is close to an 80-minute guy most weeks. He's averaging 37 for the year in that role, priced at 30 already, so that's good. Last year he averaged 42, so that's more upside than Tallis Duncan provides at the moment. What was Tallis Duncan, like 8 points of value, maybe closer to 10, I can't remember. But yeah, like this is 12 points of value and is a cheaper price point with the same jewel. I think there's every possibility that he is a better option than Tallis Duncan. Obviously, Duncan had the lower break even as well, so that immediate cash generation is clear. But he also plays round 19 where Tallis Duncan doesn't. So if you want a pod when everyone else is jumping on Tallis Duncan, I think this is your guy. Do I advocate for it? Absolutely not. I didn't necessarily advocate for Tallis Duncan this round. I certainly did a month ago. But yeah, if you're picking up Tallis Duncan, why are you not considering Fainu? I don't know if the bench is that concerning. Let's have a look. Yeah, the bench isn't that concerning. Jack Bird covers in the middle. Latu Fainu covers in the middle and a little bit of backline cover if there's an injury. The other, Sione Fainu, yeah, covers the middle as well. And then De Silva covers for Appy, and then Appy moves to the middle. So they're all middle forwards. I think he continues that 80-minute role, or at least close to. This guy was the one you were concerned about, who has been taking his minutes and is not in the team. So yeah, I think absolutely he's an option. I'm not going to do it because I already have Tallis Duncan, but for a lot of teams out there, he is a decent option that no one's talking about. Edge/middle edge, Blake Steep and Fekete. I don't think they're great options. If you are desperate for a high-risk play, high risk, high reward, then yeah, there is merit. I could not tell you where these guys are going to score. they are kind of the definition of high risk, high reward. Victor Radley got another concussion. I think that's his 4th of the year. Who knows how long he's out for. They have the bye next week, which helps him as well, but he's out this week, I think, with the mandatory stand down because he failed his HIA. Then he's probably back in round 18, but they are short on forwards there. Nafahu White is back where he wasn't in the previous bye rounds, or like round 15, sorry. So their forward pack is slightly better. But if Radley's out long term, that does pick up some minutes in other positions. Like Ficketti's starting lock this week now. So yeah, I don't know. Like I wouldn't advocate for them, but I thought it would be rude not to include them on this list. If you're low on trades and risk averse, then certainly don't pick up these guys. And if you don't need round 18, round 19 cover, then yeah, again, absolutely not. Blake Steep is having a really good patch at the moment in increased minutes, but his point per minute is huge. Hasn't scored a try or anything to get there. If he averages 40 plus minutes, he's averaging 58 in 51 minutes, which is just absurd. 44 tackles and 100 metres in 56 minutes off the bench last week. And yeah, that was with Radley going out mid-game, but who's to say he doesn't play another 50-minute role and scores 50 plus? I'm not necessarily considering these guys, but if I want a high upside guy, do I go for a Blake Steep? Potentially. I don't know. Look at that bench again. They've got two hooker cover. Obviously, Zach Docker-Clay does play a bit of middle, so he'll cover in there. But you got to be pretty desperate as the Roosters to be playing 2 of those guys on the bench, including Connor Watson as well. So, yeah, I think it's a pretty good makeup. Ficketty doesn't play massive minutes at lock. Nafahu White plays about 50, 55. Collins is backing up from Origin. I think Blake Steep could easily play 50, 55 minutes this week. They do have the bye next week, but again, 50 to 55 minutes in round 18. I might have just talked myself into him, to be honest. Yeah, but there's not much historical data, so I don't know if we can get him. How old is Blake Steep? I'm just going to see if it's worthwhile checking his Queensland Cup stats. He's 20. Let me check his Queensland Cup stats. I might have just talked myself into this guy. It's very risky. Very, very risky. 35 minutes and 21. Okay, that's terrible. Okay, lock, here we go. 46 average in 65 minutes. It's not bad. Not bad. I'll have a deeper dive into this guy. But yeah, like I said, it's rude not to include him. It's just he's every chance of playing 30 minutes in some games and being averaging where he's priced at. He's a massive high-risk guy. But yeah, I think he might be worth the risk. I probably should have done it here if I was going to. That's annoying. Anyway, Ficketty. Yeah, similar boat. When his minutes are higher, he is better. Starting lock, he only scored 15 in 32 minutes. But he looked really good last week. Obviously scored the try. It was a beautiful try. It had to be like a 15, 20-point try in real life. But yeah, without that, he didn't score too well. He is more of a cash down, so I do prefer Steep. But I think if you think his minutes are going to increase to like that 45, 50-minute role, then absolutely has some merit. I personally don't think he gets those minutes, and I don't think his points per minutes is worth anything. But yeah, he's a cheaper cash down with a slight upside. Where am I going? Siwa Wong. Yeah, I talked about this guy being a hold throughout the bye period. Is he a buy? Almost certainly not. But if you believe his tackle count will stick from the last 2 weeks, then you have to buy him. I don't believe it will stick. Going from mid-30s to 60 and 57 is ridiculous. I don't know. Like, he's obviously not going to average 60 tackles, but if you think he's going to average 45, 50, then that makes him a bona fide keeper and better than Katoa. He does have the bye next round, but that's it. It's an easy round to navigate. I don't think it sticks. I think he probably, maybe a slight increase, but yeah, he's not going to get back to Savalas made 45 tackles last week, which obviously isn't going to continue, and they're on the same edge. So yeah, there was reasons why their tackle count increased. I don't think it's going to happen, but he's a nice pod. Like, he's only 16% owned now, does cover around 18. So yeah, a lot of people are talking about Eli Katoa, but this guy is a lot cheaper. Not a lot cheaper. He's slightly cheaper. And I think there's every chance he is better than a 48 guy. He averages 54 for the year, same as Katoa. And yeah, he's 650K priced at 48. I don't know. Like, this guy isn't getting as much love. He's obviously made 350K this year, so a lot of people had him at the start of the year, but yeah, he's still an option in my eyes. Sean Bloor, he's a cheaper alternative to Eli Katoa. If you need round 18, round 19 edge cover, same as Eli Katoa, then I think he's a good option. If you wouldn't keep him, even if he hits his average ceiling at 48-ish, then yeah, there's no point bringing him in. He's priced at 39, he's really cheap, no buys left. Averages 42 for the year, but last year he averaged 44. I think it's slightly better. 46 in close to 80 minutes. He does play 80 minutes every week, most weeks now. Last year, that 46 average was in about 75 minutes, so plus 5 minutes, plus 2 to 3 points, and that's a 49 average. All his stats are pretty similar this year. His tackle breaks are down by 0.8, but his run meters are up. His tackles are the same. His offloads down 0.6, but they're stuff that can increase. So I think there's every chance he gets back to a 50-point scorer. But that's not a keeper to me. There's so many edges available. I probably wouldn't do it, but if you need a cheaper alternative, then I think he is a good option. Sifa Talakai, he's starting center now with Hiroti out for 4 to 6 weeks, I believe it is. He's effectively a cash down with higher production. He's a really good center. I'll get into that in a sec. He covers in round 19, obviously not round 18. But if you're chasing a cash down with upside, then yeah, I think he does have some merit. If you want a bottom dollar cash down, like at 230K, then no, I wouldn't get this guy. And if there's no scenario where you ever need to play him, then what's the point? Just go down to a cash down. Obviously, you're not going to be playing him most weeks, but there's some weeks if you can loop in center or edge, then he might be worth it, especially in center. Like if you have a Garrick who plays before him or something, if Talakai plays before Garrick and they're like your second and third centers, then there might be some weeks in round 18, in round 19, maybe even this week where you can do a loop. I don't know who your centers are this week. I've got, like I said, Fermor and Lucas, so they're probably not the best options to loop. But yeah, in round 19, you might be next round potentially. I doubt it, but yeah, if there's no scenario where you're ever going to loop him, then don't get him because there's no point. But if you can, then I think he could be half decent as an option. He hasn't played any center this year. Last year, he averaged 43 in 4 games with only 1 try. 37 the year before in heaps of games. 44, that was with 107 in one of those games. That was the wildest game ever. I think he had like 85 or 90 at halftime. But like it's decent, right? What's that? 38 average. He only has like a 4 to 6 window there, but if you don't need that extra 65K from a pure cash down, I think he could be worth it. I don't think I'll be doing it. I have no reason to, but in some teams, he will be an option. Jamie Humphries, talked about him last week. I was considering taking a flyer on him just for round 15 and round 18. All the other rounds where Latrell's back, he's probably a 40 to 45 guy and is not worth it. But if you are chasing high upside, then he is definitely an option. If you need a round 18 half and you don't like any of the other ones on the board, like Jerome Hughes or whoever your second one is, then yeah, feel free. But if you need to play him in any or most weeks that Latrell plays, so this round 17, round 19 onwards, then it's not worth it because he is going to average 40 to 45. But he should average 50 to 55 at a minimum in round 18, or should score that. He scored 46 in round 15 last week, but he was on that with like 20 minutes to go. He just slowed down with a few negatives. So that's probably the worst score we'll see from him in a game without Latrell, or at least the bottom of his floor. So yeah, I think he is an option potentially at that price point, but to me, he's not going to be a keeper. I'd rather go for a Jerome Hughes for the extra 100K. So yeah, not for me personally, but there is certainly teams that he will be a decent option for. I'd probably wait till round 18 to do it though, if I were you. Latu Fainu, this guy's been talked about the last couple of weeks. I don't think I do have has an option there. But yeah, if you expect him to start soon or you like his current role as a bench forward where he plays like 35, 40, 45 minutes, then I think you can do it. He probably does start at some point. I don't know when it's going to be. Everyone thought it was going to be this week. I wasn't so sure. If you're chasing a high upside cash down, then yeah, he's your guy. I think a lot of people have bought him in the last couple of weeks and maybe they will this week. Then if you don't want Jerome Hughes, I think he's still an option as well. If you already have round 18 half cover, then no, just don't bring this guy in. There's not much point. 9% of the top 100 picked him up. That's crazy. His data isn't actually that flash at half in reserve grade, but yeah, he's got good raps on him. He's scored 29 in 33 minutes and 35 in 44 minutes as a bench guy. I think that game was at halfback or adjacent, but this game was in the forwards where he made 27 tackles. So it's actually not a bad role, even though he's not starting. They do have De Silva on the bench who covers a little bit of hooker, and Appy might play mids, but not for too long. So yeah, their bench isn't that strong. So yeah, that 44-ish minutes should continue. Ryan Papenhuyzen, if you believe he can get back to his former self, then yeah, sure, he's a really appealing price. Probably like a Reece Walsh, Tommy Turbo, Kalen Ponga, like we're sort of banking on the upside. But he's not as cheap as those guys. He's not necessarily a keeper unless he gets back there. If you don't view him as a keeper or you don't need round 18, 19 winger fullback cover, I probably just wouldn't bother. We know how good he can be, obviously. He has had a few games less than 80 minutes, but he averages 51.5 with the goal kicking this year. Averaged 42 last year without goal kicking, so probably about 48 otherwise. 48 before that. Then it gets to like 73 and it's 68 and stuff like that. But that's in like smaller seasons. So is that going to continue? Like he obviously scored so many tries that year and it's such a small sample size. If you think he can get anywhere close to that or average about 55, he's probably an option. If you don't, you've probably got guys like Tedesco, Drinkwater, I don't know, like other guys like that who are very similar and you don't really need him. But if you need a round 18, 19 guy, he doesn't have any buys. I think he is a decent option, but not for me personally. Jack Bostock, yeah, if you're desperate for cash generation, he has a negative 21 break even, so feel free. Any other reason, just don't pick him up. If your team value is huge, don't bother. He's obviously coming off 103, which is appealing. But look at that, a -1. This is all in 80 minutes. -1, 11, 16, 19, 27. If he scores a couple of those, like he's not actually going to make too much money. Let's have a look. Let's say he scores like a 25, and then a 40, then a 30, 30. It's not even 100K, even with a -21 break even. And he's back to a 53 break even. So yeah, I wouldn't do it personally unless you're banking on him for cash generation. Like, let's say he does have a double this week, scores a 50, and then is pretty good at 40s. Then yeah, he makes 150K. Is that likely? Who knows? The Dolphins are on fire. Herbie is crushing it on that edge, in that center, so maybe he feeds Bostock. But yeah, for me personally, no, even though I need cash generation, I just don't think he's worth it. Joash Papali, if you're desperate for a winger fullback this round, he's a decent option. He's playing at 5'8". He's a small body. He doesn't kick too much. I don't know how he'll do. Maybe similar to a King Tongia, like he's an attacking half. So yeah, is this guy even a half? I'm not sure. I don't know where his position is. He's covered in the back line a little bit. He's played as a bench hooker. Maybe they view him as a half. I don't know, like a 5'8". Who knows? If you're planning on bringing a cash down in this week, then yeah, I think he's a decent option for sure. Just prior to filming this, NRL physio said Dylan Brown has a potential serious injury in training today. There's no confirmation. He just said a few sources have told him. So if that's the case, he does have more runway. He may be played there for 4, 6+ weeks. And then there's a potential that not only is he a bottom price cash down, he actually makes some money, has some decent scores. Doesn't play around 18. We don't know what the situation is yet. But yeah, I think he is a decent option. But if you need him to play in any other round, or even this round, then he's probably not an option. But as a pure cash down, he's only 9K more expensive. Then I think, yeah, he's a decent option. He does have a good score. I think that was in the centres for Will Penasini. So yeah, we don't know what he's going to be like. I don't think you can expect the world. But yeah, he could make 100K or so. And is literally just a pure cash down. So I'm considering it if Dylan Brown is out long term. Then the last one, Jed Stewart and Alan Fitzgibbon. If you're chasing a cash down with upside, then potentially bring them in. Jed Stewart probably more than Fitzgibbon. Then if you already have Lawson, don't bother because that's two pure cash downs. Whereas Joash Papali, he might have a bit more upside playing in the halves. So if you already have Lawson, that's okay, but these guys probably not. Alan Fitzgibbon has only played 3 games on the wing. For mixed scores, 27 with a try, 5, and then 39 with a try. He looks like a decent player. He's still young, but yeah, for me personally, no. And then Jed Stewart, his reserve grade stats aren't even that good. Let's have a look. He played in the back row more than the wing, but 26 on the wing. Played on the wing more than back row. 26 average on the wing with 18 tries in 34 games. So yeah, his value would be 330k. So not really an option, but here's a nice pure cash down. I prefer Joash Papali over these two though. And that's about it. Not a super exciting round. Still don't know what I'm going to do. Potentially looking at Joash Papali now, but I don't know who for. A few options. I might have talked myself into Blake Steep. Who knows what's going to happen? I don't know what's going to happen, but that's the video, and we'll see you tomorrow, guys. Enjoy Origin tonight. See ya.